KNUS Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand why this is an issue.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Six a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, September 12, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. Tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Here's the latest on Charlie Kirk. The authorities released on Thursday evening fresh video footage of a person sought in the investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk as officials pleaded with the public for help in the intense manhunt for the gunman that has now stretched on more than 30 hours. Governor Spencer Cox of Utah urging the public at a news conference in Orem to help authorities capture, quote, this evil human being, unquote. Mr. Cox appeared alongside FBI Director Kash Patel, who arrived in Utah on Thursday evening to more directly oversee the hunt for the person who fatally shot Mr. Kirk. Mr. Patel did not speak at the news conference. None of the officials took questions. They released a video of the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator, running across the roof following the shot, then getting to the edge of what's got to be a 20-foot high roof, Bill.
Yeah. Adam in the video room, he and I were talking about this earlier, that it would make sense based on he went up the stairs one way, and he and Adam and I were talking this morning, why wouldn't you run down the concrete stairs that you came up? Why would you jump off the back end of the roof that, again, is a drop, this 18, 20 feet? But if you look at where Kirk was and people that are running away from that area, the stairs probably would have put him into a large traffic pattern. And so if he goes back the other side of the roof, he's away from most of the crowd that is running away. And it also puts the building between he and the shooting. So, yeah. The thing that Adam and I were talking about this morning as he came across that roof and jumped down is, where's the gun? Where in those shots is the firearm? If he ditched it in the woods, as was reported yesterday, and it's a Mauser 30-06, that is not a weapon that can be broken down. Length on that's 3.5 feet on average, depending on barrel and mods, things like that. So you're looking at probably a minimum of 3.5, maybe 3 feet 9 inches, somewhere in there, depending on what he's got. Where is it? It's not a weapon that can be broken down. So, and the part that is the most important is when he's looking to get off the building. You could see maybe in the distance, you wouldn't be able to pick it up, although there should be some sort of an antenna, or you should be able to see the stock coming off the back of his shoulders as he's moving, or you would see the barrel down near his legs as he's walking. You would see something in between those. You don't see that, even though it is a grainy video. The part that is the most revealing to me is when they zoom in on him and he's bending down and he's going to jump off the building. Where's the firearm? And the thing that's most important about that, again, anybody that is out there, I'm giving a shout out to all of my hunters out there. How many of y'all are going to take your shotgun, your rifle, and jump down with it in your hands? You're not going to do that. You're going to hand it to somebody else, and you're going to pass them down. And if he had a rifle, and again, the rifle was found with more rounds inside of the woods. So we probably would have seen him drop it down. He drops the sweatshirt because what we see is we see it move. A rifle wouldn't have done that. It would have been a stationary object. And so, okay, maybe he does take that chance. Maybe he is good enough with a weapon. He feels confident enough with this weapon that he's okay jumping down with it. Okay, that's okay. I know members of the military that absolutely would jump down with their firearm 110% and they trust it. That's okay. That's fair. But where is it? And when he's bending down, no stock, no barrel, no nothing. I can't see it protrude from the shape of his body. That's the biggest question I had from that video last night is, where's the weapon? If it is that Mauser 30-06 they found in the woods, we should be able to see part of an outline somewhere in that video on him.
Right.
I could be wrong, and maybe there'll be something later on that we'll find it and everything else, and it's just me and my average eyes and me being old and not understanding what I'm seeing in grainy video. I could totally be wrong, but that's the thing that popped up to me. Where's the firearm?
You're correct. There is nothing that you see of him dropping it. You have a sweatshirt or backpack, but then when he gets down to the grass, he leans down and picks something up, but you can't see what it is. So, maybe it's just the gun so thin you can't see it. But
again, that would have been what he dropped. It would have been because he dropped something, but the thing that falls moves, and a gun doesn't respond to wind currents that way. It would be a stationary object, where a backpack or better yet a sweatshirt or a jacket of something would create movement like that when it's because the outline changes. Something that is rigid like a gun would be static.
Correct.
And that's the difference. And that's why I don't think that what he drops is the firearm. And it changes in a way that even if he had it wrapped in a towel, it would be strange for him to have it wrapped in a towel at that point. But if he did, it still changes. I mean, the outline changes in a way that I don't think is consistent for a 3.5 foot firearm. But I am open to be wrong. I am just saying I'm not an expert. This is what I'm seeing, and these are my questions and my questions alone. That's what I see from the video, and I have questions about it. Where's the firearm?
We do have breaking news on Fox. President Trump is saying we have Kirk suspect in custody.
Excellent. Let's see.
Wow.
That would
Because
be
my
amazing.
next question was going to be to you, why can't we figure out who this guy is? When I was assaulted, within 2 hours of posting his image, we knew his Venmo payment.
Yeah.
I mean, they had literally dug up exactly who this was, his college essays, and his Venmo account, which can be public sometimes, and who you pay, was all clear. I mean, it was wild what was able to be discovered within 2 hours of the assault that took place.
Yeah,
But President Trump saying right now on Fox and Friends that we have Kirk suspect in custody.
That would be fantastic. Wow. That would be wonderful. And especially what I appreciate about that is if he is captured alive, we at least have a chance of figuring out the why. That is something that is taken from us if we've seen in other mass shooting events. And one of them we'll talk about later today that unfortunately happened recently at Evergreen High School. But that's something that is taken away in these situations when the shooter takes their own life or has police take their lives. So that is a huge positive, the fact that you can get a hold of the guy and if he's alive, and then maybe we can find out some of the reasonings and how this happened and things like that. That would be a huge, huge thing. Yeah. Be enormous.
I do appreciate that we'll at least go through a trial and we'll get to ask the question why. But as I've been reflecting on political violence, looking back at the history of this, whether you're the guy that shot Ronald Reagan as he walks outside the Hilton Hotel there, the man who assassinated Robert F. Kennedy, the man who assassinated Martin Luther King, JFK, so many times you're just dealing with these one-off nut jobs, these total loons. And even if you try to protect them while they're out in public, try to protect the political figures out in public, you be like Sirhan, and Robert F. Kennedy gets shot walking through the kitchen. So I don't know how or go back to Lincoln. I just don't know how you try to stop these weirdos, these one-off weirdos that, for whatever reason, feel that the public execution of a political figure is something they need to be a part of and perpetrate. I've heard everything from grievance factors. It could be these people tend to collect grievances and then they act out. But there's clearly a brokenness there, but I don't know how you address it. Well, lots to talk about. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning. TGIF 62 and partly cloudy in Denver. Expecting a high of 81 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, and Jeff and Billy just discussed this. This is pretty big on Fox News.
Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. Getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant. That was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. It's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But
So good news in the last minute. Basically, the president reporting that they do have the Charlie Kirk assassin in custody. And Jeff and Billy, if you're there right now, I want to ask you something. I didn't get to this on Thursday. Did you happen to see Barack Obama's X account and his statement a day ago by chance, if you're there? I don't even know.
No, I did not.
Well, I had this question, and honestly, I couldn't sleep for about 5 hours last night because of it. But he says the very first sentence is, "We don't know the motive yet," and then he goes on to state this great tweet. We think it's despicable, it's horrible, and Michelle and I send out our prayers and thoughts and prayers and everything to the family. But it's driving me nuts because is it just me? What actual motive would justify assassinating anyone? Is there a motive? I mean, that would justify what we saw the other day? I'm just curious. Why was that sentence even there?
Well, here's the thing. While some people say that political violence is never okay, and I may even utter that phrase in times, I can make an argument that, yes, there is a space for political violence. And here would be the thing. Would we not necessarily advocate or pick up the firearm, but would we lament someone assassinating Putin? We wouldn't lament that, and we would say that might be a space for political violence.
Guys, and I understand that.
Mao Zedong.
But you can't say that with Charlie Kirk. So to Blake's point, you can't, what motive would necessitate the assassination of Charlie Kirk? There is none. You could say, well, we've gone to war in this country, for instance, to free ourselves from the oppression of a king. We kill all that.
I'm not addressing the Charlie Kirk situation. I'm addressing the large statement of political violence never being acceptable.
Yes,
I can find instances
that
don't apply to this situation in which we all could think that it could be. How many times have people played that parlor game? Given time travel, would you go back and kill baby Hitler? That would be considered political violence.
Correct. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right
so
about
that's
that.
That's all I'm addressing.
Right.
That's
You're
all
correct.
I'm addressing
and
in this conversation.
Blake's point, though, is good because in what capacity at all is there any motivation or justification to kill Charlie Kirk? Because you can't put him in those categories. So for Barack Obama to go, we don't yet quite know the motive, okay. Well, you can't have a motive that justifies the killing of him.
That's irrelevant unless exactly unless he knew he had his finger on the button to blow up the world with a nuclear weapon. What else would there be? So it's been driving me nuts, and I figured you guys would have a good answer for it.
So Blake, I want to also bring up, have you seen Lorraine Garcia's post on Blue Sky?
No.
Okay.
I have not.
This was yesterday, a state representative, Democrat state representative here in Colorado. She represents Commerce City. She was appointed, by the way. She's never been elected. Yesterday, a hateful, vile, bigoted, woman-hating, anti-black, white Christian nationalist was assassinated. And even though he was all these things, violence is never the answer.
Exactly.
And the additional calls for violence from MAGA are, listen to that, and the additional calls for violence from MAGA are only fueling a dangerous situation without even knowing who did this.
Jeez. I did not see that. Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Crazy.
I mean, so we can parse it here, okay? Let's start with, she calls him a hateful, violent person while writing what could absolutely be described as a hateful, vile post, right? She is acting hatefully and vilely while condemning somebody for being hateful and vile. But that type of hypocrisy will never reveal itself to the left. I mean, it's wild how they don't see that. Then let's also discuss this. What she said there isn't true. Charlie Kirk was not hateful or vile. We have thousands of examples of him engaging with people on issues where they discuss the particular topic civilly.
Yes.
So he's not hateful. He's not vile. He's not bigoted. He's not woman-hating. He's got a beautiful wife. He's raising a family. There's nothing he's ever said that's woman-hating. Anti-black? Charlie Kirk gave a lot of black commentators tremendous opportunities. When you look at what he built with Turning Point, you could disagree with her, Candace Owens, or who else used to be on the show, the police officer. But Brandon Tatum, C.J. Pearson, all these people.
There
right?
were hundreds that came out yesterday. So
anti-black, and then she condemns his race, that he's white. Okay, remember Lorena Garcia,
right?
You know, so she's not condemning her own race here. And then saying Christian nationalist, which I think Charlie would agree with. So the only thing you get there at the end is that he's a Christian nationalist, which he embraced because he was not an atheist globalist, right? So he wasn't the alternative of it, was assassinated. Right. So she goes through and just lies about him in this terrible post, then says, and even though he was all this, by the way, violence is never the answer.
A few words right after it. Wow. Unbelievable. That's why I don't look at that thing, Blue Sky or whatever it is. But
it's terrible.
Oh, God, that has to be difficult to look at, really. The Evergreen community is coming together to support each other after Wednesday's school shooting. Governor Polis was among the elected leaders who spoke as hundreds of people gathered for a vigil on Thursday night at the Buchanan Park Recreation Center.
On behalf of the entire state of Colorado, know that you all are in our hearts and in our minds in every corner of this state, from Trinidad to Sterling to Grand Junction.
Polis told the crowd that the shooting would be investigated, but no answers would sufficiently explain such a horrific, violent act. The victims remain in critical condition, including 18-year-old Matthew Silverstone, while the 16-year-old shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot. At the vigil, Congresswoman Brittany Pedersen praised first responders and teachers for heroism.
Our kids don't grow up doing fire drills anymore. We do active shooter drills. And thank goodness they had the training to respond to this.
Organizers also emphasized showing students that they are loved and supported. Evergreen High School will remain closed today. Tensions are high on historically black colleges and universities across the nation after a full day of threats led to campus lockdowns. Classes at Alabama State, Hampton, Virginia State's Southern University, Spelman, to name a few, were disrupted due to shelter-in-place orders. 20 years of So who knows what's going on? I mean, we could go down 30 different rabbit holes there. I don't know. We'll find out more about all of that. 20 years of emails reportedly from Epstein's personal Yahoo account are raising more questions about him and the relationship with DJT, but the media is really, really pushing this now. The emails numbering around 18,000 obtained by Bloomberg News, and they cover 20 years, 2002 through 2022. All right. The nation has once again paid tribute to the victims of September 11th, the terrorist attacks, this time on the 24th anniversary of the tragic. The iconic tribute in the light lit up the sky in lower Manhattan last night to symbolize the original Twin Towers. 60 in Parker, 60 in Arvada, 62 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. It's been a really difficult week. TGIF. Try to make it a good one. Blake Olson, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
For the next 3 days, shower and thunderstorm chances over all of Colorado will be increasing, especially in the mountain areas. Highs today, mid to upper 80s, afternoon and evening thunderstorms near 60 tonight with a few lingering showers. Cooler, upper 70s and low 80s with a good chance of showers and thunderstorms Friday and again on Saturday. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
We're tracking the latest news. President Trump announcing that they do have a suspect in custody. They believe with high likelihood that he is the one involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. As this news develops, we'll bring you the latest. Let's go to the phone lines. Dave in Divide. Good morning, Dave. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning.
Morning, fellas. I heard you talking a little bit about how the guy might have dropped 20 foot and didn't see the rifle and all that, huh?
Yeah, did you see the video? Because I want to see what you saw versus what I saw.
No, I don't. I'm glad I haven't. I heard it's pretty gory, but
yeah.
Okay, so a 6-foot person can take a 20-foot fall by hanging himself, and they make it a 14-foot fall and dropping. Now, you wouldn't want an 8-10-pound rifle with you either. And a 30-06 is capable of making a shot in the right hands from anywhere from, close range up to maybe 600 yards. It's not like a 338.
Dave, I was reading yesterday on the 30-06, especially Mauser models, and they were saying that it is among the most accurate in that genre, in that group of firearms, that if you're going to try to hit something at that distance, one of the best choices is going to be a Mauser 30-06 because it doesn't hit too hard, but it's deadly accurate. It's not as heavy as the 8mm, but they're saying that the precision you can get with that 30-06 round is remarkable at a distance. I was watching a guy go almost 300 yards, and he was grouping his shots inside of a quarter of an inch. That's spooky. That's really accurate.
Yeah, they've got videos out there of guys with 338 Lapuas, 30-06 like that. They make 1,000-yard shots like it's nothing. I watched some snipers out shooting one time, and these guys were just. And it's funny because you hear bing, hits the target way out there.
Okay, Dave.
But I mean,
I want you to put on.
You would never. Yeah. I mean, as a person. I mean, me at my age, I couldn't handle a 20-foot fall. However, a college age kid, 20 feet easy. But like you said, you can take a 20-foot fall, and just by hanging off the roof, you make it a 14-foot fall.
Yeah, you can. Now, Dave, okay, I want you just for today, just for the exercise. We're not doing this in reality, but we're going to put on our Jeff and Bill conspiracy theory hats, okay? And what I want from you, now that myself, Jeff, and you are all wearing our conspiracy theory hats, do you think there's a possibility that this shooter had some sort of extra training? And what I mean by that is post-military or something else that he had gone through because of having the ability to make that shot? Or do you think that maybe this is someone that has just been an enthusiast, a sportsman, or something else? And the reason I ask is because I have a feeling that someone like myself or Jeff or someone in the audience that hadn't been practicing for months and months and months at this wouldn't be any good at it. So, conspiracy theory hat on. Do you think he has training? Do you think he's involved in something else? Or is he just someone that went and practiced a lot? What would be your thought?
Okay, from what you told me about how you didn't see the rifle in his hands when he jumped off the roof, I got a feeling he was assisted with someone in the woods making a 400-yard shot. And they left the frickin' rifle there and then took off. So, and look at Butler. Oh. Look how fast they cleaned the scene at Butler. They washed it off quick. I don't even know the guy's name that did the Trump thing, And then I heard there was some cat saying, I did it, that maybe froze Charlie for a second.
So
Plus,
so you're talking about a spotter. He could be necessarily a spotter. Again, if you were doing a two-person, because I do know of two-person sniper teams in some military operations where you have someone that gets closer that's a spotter, and then someone that's actually doing the shooting is further away. Huh.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, what if that guy on the roof was just the decoy and the actual shooter was back in the woods a couple hundred yards back making the shot? Because
but there's no direct line to that. There's no. Right, he'd have to shoot through a building.
Yeah, we'd think, depending on where he is, etc. But again, it's a theory. Again, we're putting on our conspiracy theory hats. Let's just embrace it. Let's embrace it. I mean, again, I'm not saying this is reality, but again, I'm just kind of like, where do these thoughts take us? We're kind of going outside of what is conventional reality right now. But hey, Dave, I appreciate that, man. Thanks for the phone call. That would be interesting.
Dave's line is open, 303-696-1971. Let's get to Ron and Greeley. Good morning, Ron. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, this whole thing is just horrific. There's so much to say and so little time to do it, so I'm going to try to rush through this. As far as when you guys were talking during the news break, as far as what causes a person to do this, all we have to do is look back at the raising that has happened in the past. Everybody gets a participation trophy, right? That starts raising certain people, certain words, the easiest words, the sticks and stones phrase, that doesn't pertain to these people. It actually cuts them deep and they get hurt. And this is how they've learned over the years to respond, is with hatred and violence. And it is so sad. I get so angry. And then I think of Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, influencing so many people. And I think we got to pray for these people, because they need help. If Jesus could turn Saul, they could turn anybody.
Ron, I got a question, though. Yeah. You keep referring to they and they doing this. Who's they in your mind?
In my mind, it's all the entitlement kids.
So who are they? Who is that then? I mean, how do we define who an entitlement kid is?
You know what? That's the hard part, because it could be anybody. It's not just the trans. Of course, they're part of it, but it's not just them. It's anybody that was raised.
Could it also include the incels?
Well, sure.
Okay.
Of course.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing of it is one thing I want to make sure I say is there's never going to be another Charlie Kirk. Everybody say, "Oh, we're going to have going to come up." There will never. I mean, when I start hearing more and more about this kid when he was 18, and not real, and knowing college is not the answer, you could become, it's a money scheme anymore, and the way he proved his intelligence it's just off the charts, and his knowledge and his ability to have a discussion with anybody on anything with incredible intelligence.
Ron, I agree with you about the once in a lifetime, once in a generational aspect of Charlie Kirk. And here's a question I have for our listeners. There's been assassination attempts since the formation of this nation. That was well before participation trophies and others. How do you address a guy like Hinckley, for instance, who wanted to impress Jodie Foster? Like, there's an element of lunacy out there that you just can't possibly account for. And then when you do your best to protect these, Hinckley got Reagan while he's walking to the car. Sirhan got Robert F. Kennedy, who was walking through the kitchen. How do you account for just one-off levels of lunacy and then protect our national treasures like Charlie Kirk? Ron Grilly, sure appreciate the call. Let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. I've known Dan well over a decade, pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case is going to say a lot about you to everybody involved in the case. Dan is the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated 40 years of his life to helping people hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Here's his courtroom record. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Latest news coming from President Trump. We have a suspect in custody related to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We'll continue to follow that. No additional details as to who that is. And we're tracking all the latest accounts on X, all that. We'll give you that information as it comes in. Let's go to the phone lines. Bob in Castle Rock. Good morning, Bob. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
How are you guys doing? Anyway, hey, listen, I just happened to scan through YouTube and I seen this thing on Stephen Gardner, Alex Jones Bombshell. And it says it's got a book there that Alex Jones found, and it's got the shooting of Charlie Kirk with a publication date of September 9th, the day before. And also he was talking about out there that there is a article in the New York Times and the LA Times 19 hours prior to the shooting about the death of Charlie Kirk. Anyway, this is just something I was scanning through, found it, and I just wanted to let you guys know it might looks a little crazy. And Bill, you are correct about where is the rifle. I thought the same thing yesterday watching the video on that. There was no rifle. He had no rifle coming off that roof. Anyway, that's all I called about.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I looked. The book was listed for about 24 hours. Anastasia J. Casey is the listed author on there, but Amazon does not necessarily peruse or edit books before they're listed for sale on their website. They're not a publisher, so I'm trying to find details about it.
But what was the title of the book?
The title is "The Shooting of Charlie Kirk." Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah. And stated for publication September 9th has to be the day before. But again, I can't find anything else about it. Amazon,
Or the author or anything? Do we know anything about the author?
I'm looking at it. So all I'm finding is the title's not available. But again, I've got some questions as to whether or not this existed, because it looks like it was ready to be published afternoon of September 10th. But Amazon spokesman said they didn't look at it. So again, I'm trying to verify that it existed as an actual publication rather than this just being something that someone did. And just created, rather than, was it an actual book that someone had written, or did someone create a fake title, fake listing, fake post, fake this, and just post it? I don't know. Again, I know nothing more about just the fact that I do see a cover, I do see a title, and I do see an author. Those are the only things that I feel comfortable verifying right now, and we'll keep looking. Yeah.
Wow, is there a broader conspiracy to assassinate Charlie Kirk, or is it these one-off weirdos? I'm looking through the Wikipedia page of the list of the United States presidential assassination attempts and plots. And it's way bigger than you think, because there's a lot that never actually materialize. But in most of the cases, it just seems like weirdos. Like, here's one: 17 days before Roosevelt's first presidential inauguration, some guy named Zangara fired 5 shots at Roosevelt in Miami. Zangara's shots missed the president-elect, but mortally wounded Chicago Mayor Anton Cermak and injured 4 other people. I never even knew about that one. So, in other cases, you had coordinated attempts led by people like Saddam Hussein try to kill George H.W. Bush.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm going deeper into this. I can just find that someone put up a listing. I can't find any verification of either the existence of the author or of the actual book. I just can't. So right now, my assumption is, for whatever reason, this is a post that occurred on the day. People found it the day of Charlie Kirk's shooting, not the day before or anything else. And the publication date was listed the day before. But again, if you post it that day, you can list a publication at anything you want. So that's what I can't figure out.
Interesting. Here's the... Adam, the producer, just handed this to us. Here's the response from an Amazon spokesperson. We have content guidelines governing which books can be listed for sale, and we remove books that do not adhere to these guidelines. The title in question is no longer available for sale due to a technical issue. The date of publication that had been displayed on this title, for this title, while it was briefly listed, was incorrect, and we apologize for any confusion this may have caused. The title was published late in the afternoon on September 10th.
Okay, so that would make sense that it would be.
So they tried to place it up there.
Yeah. So
that
the idea
afternoon.
being,
Gotcha.
the idea being, this is what I'm guessing, is that this is a troll. This is someone that created a person, created a book title, and just put it up on Amazon, knowing that they could get around, knowing they can get around the.
And it would
the
generate
gatekeepers.
this type of news.
Yeah, and it would generate. Yeah, because I can't find anything about Anastasia Casey as far as who the author is. Yeah, I can't find anything about the individual as if writing anything else beforehand, any bio, anything. So that's the crazy part is I can't find anything about who the person is. And so if the person exists, there should have been some sort of a
background on
somewhere. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I have a strong suspicion this is nothing more than a troll posting simply because Amazon outlined it happened in the afternoon after Charlie Kirk's death.
New York Times updating us as we go through here. President Trump saying on Friday that a person was in custody in the connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk, while he cautioned that his information was preliminary, said that this was, though, quote, the person we're looking for. He has not offered any additional details. We're waiting on announcements to come through. We'll continue to update you on that. In the meantime, let's talk Gyrie's, folks. We've had a great experience working with them. They're one of those great mid-levels that come in and provide personal, custom guidance with regards to home design without being like a crazy Beverly Hills level cost. And they're so much better than wandering around by yourself at Home Depot trying to figure out what kind of paint you should paint the house. They are a perfect guide with regards to Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. They'll help you with paint. They'll help you with full home decor. Here's the best part. They offer a personalized in-home consultation. They'll come to you. We're getting new blinds put up at the house, and my wife has been thrilled. What I loved taking her to Gyrie's was she got to talk to the personal design person and ask lots of questions. And there's like multiple different versions of motorized blinds, which is really cool. Like you can get into a lot of different avenues on that. So you can get the same expert advice right in your own home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit Gyrie's, GUIRYS.com, GUIRYS.com to schedule your in-home consultation. Gyrie's.com. Go see the great people there. You'll be sure to thank me. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're trying to bring you the latest on the person that's been taken into custody. New York Times reporting that a man was taken into custody at about 11 p.m. local time on Thursday night by Utah State and local police, according to law enforcement official who confirmed the details of President Trump's remarks on Fox News. Federal authorities are not releasing his name because they're still in the process of pursuing leads and executing search warrants, according to the official who had requested anonymity. And you're seeing potential age range there, Bill.
Yeah, I'm seeing 28 or 29 years old, and this is the BBC quoting Trump on Fox News. So again, I'm getting my information third hand. I'm getting my information from BBC, who got their information from Fox, who got their information from Trump, who is sitting on the curvy couch. And there is stuff going out there. President Trump says Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter's father turned him in. I'm reading some stuff about the conversation, again, sourced from BBC, saying that Trump said that the person, presumably the person that recognized the suspect, is, and I'm quoting, a person of faith, comma, a minister. Also said, and again, I'm quoting Trump being quoted by the BBC on Fox News. Trump allegedly saying the father convinced the son. Trump said he may need to be corrected, but he's talking about based on what he is hearing right now. They did ask him for some clarifications, but again, Trump said on Fox News this morning, Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter is in custody. The shooter's father allegedly turned him in, age of 28 or 29 years old. Father, allegedly a man of faith, a minister that convinced the son and was arrested around 11 o'clock Utah time last night. That's sort of what we're hearing right now, and we'll let you know and update that as it changes. But even Trump said that he could be wrong this morning, so things can change. It's
very
not 100%
hot
accurate.
right now.
Yeah.
We'll continue to track all that. We didn't do it yesterday in light of the morning we were doing of Charlie Kirk, but we'll give you a little bit of levity this time. You're listening now to You Choose the News.
And in fact, we are going to make it the loser edition. Yes, there are stories that both Jeff and Blake didn't choose. They've got a second shot at glory. Let's see what happens.
You are one pathetic loser.
Loser!
Let's go. Loser! You're a loser!
The Losers Club. Bunch of losers.
You're such a loser.
You made me feel like a loser!
She's a loser.
You are such a loser.
Loser.
Ah, yes. It is the loser edition of You Choose the News. A little levity when we are left unsupervised to brighten up your day here on a Friday. Jeff and Bill Show. Blake Olson always joining us from the news department. You know how this works. Silly stories found on the interwebs. I give them even more ridiculous headlines, and we do this because nobody's paying attention. Here we go, gentlemen. Headline number 1, bulk denial. Headline number 2, lifetime definition is important. Headline number 3, sodium-sensitive prankster. And headline number 4, going Maha. Mr. Hunt, your choice, sir.
Let's go Maha, please.
Yeah, let's go Maha. Here we travel up to Ithaca, New York. You know, 2 Cornell University students basically had gotten in trouble recently for going Maha. Well, actually, maybe not Maha, maybe just taking inspiration from RFK Jr. The 2 students who have not been identified reportedly killed a young black bear, then brought the animal to an undergraduate residence hall in the North Campus, where they then skinned the carcass and packaged the meat there in the dormitory.
All right, just like
yes,
there you go.
Yes, photos posted to social media. Partially skinned carcass can be seen atop a table that is draped with camouflage patterned tarp. It appears to be one of the building's shared kitchens, judging from the size. The bear is a little bit smaller, about the size of a large dog, saying it's probably a cub at the time. Yes, and they have valid New York State hunting licenses, but they killed a bear. It may not necessarily be the way you're able to, and you can't take cubs. So they've got some questions about that. But yes, they brought the dead cub back to the dormitory, where they skinned it and then prepped the meat. Alrighty then.
Anyone ever had bear jerky?
Yes.
What does it taste like?
A little different than elk. The thing is, okay, my father had this thing about, hey, this is weird. Would you eat this? I've a rattlesnake, alligator, roll through it. Just about everything. Yes, although I still am not really, even though he has passed and God rest his soul, still not certain that I have forgiven him for not telling me what Rocky Mountain oysters were beforehand. Still remember that was a trauma thing as a child. So, yeah. All right, Jeff. I'm sorry, Blake. Bulk denial, lifetime definition is important, or sodium-sensitive prankster?
Let's go with lifetime definition.
Oh, lifetime is a very important important definition here in this one. You remember those TV commercials that promised only Publishers Clearinghouse can make you so rich so fast? Well, turns out the opposite is also true. That's what happened to John Wiley, 61-year-old Oregon man. He won $5,000 a week for life from the PCH Prize Patrol back in 2012. And now the checks have disappeared. Publishers Clearinghouse has declared bankruptcy. No more checks for any of the winners. Wiley received an annual check for $260,000 every January. The money let him retire, buy a house on 6 acres in scenic Washington. But this January, the checks stopped because they're in bankruptcy. He says it's a nightmare. He hasn't worked in more than a decade. He's selling off things like jet skis, trailers, but he says he's probably going to lose his home. Wow. He's one of 10 former Publisher Clearinghouse winners that could be in this situation.
I always wondered if that would happen.
Yeah, remember, a lifetime guarantee isn't your lifetime nor the product lifetime. It is the lifetime of the company.
Yeah,
they're
that's
gone
right.
tomorrow, doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Final choice this morning, Mr. Hunt, bulk denial or sodium-sensitive prankster?
Sodium-sensitive prankster.
Yeah, here we find ourselves in Germany this morning. Police were called to an apartment building because kids were ringing the doorbell and running away. Those rotten kids. Rrr. Well, the investigation proved it actually was a much, much, much smaller prankster. They found out as they were doing some investigation, it was weird. The doorbells were going off, but the motion sensors outside the doors weren't. They weren't catching anybody on the camera. So they went and they looked at the electrical breaker box, and oh, there it is. There's the clever little prankster. A slug was crawling across the panel and triggering several of the doorbells because of the sodium and the slime was making the electrical connections as he went across it. So it was ringing the doorbells of numerous places. Yes. So the prankster, they sorted it down, and it was a slug. They said he was delicious.
Funny.
They punished him immediately, and he was good. Yeah, delicious. I may have added the last part, but yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right, that's the end of You Choose the News. Back to you, Jeff. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, coming up in the next hour, we'll give you the latest on the Evergreen shooting that took place yesterday, as well as President Trump announcing we have a suspect in custody in light of the Charlie Kirk assassination, saying he could be 28 or 29 years old, that the father was the one that turned him in. We got the latest. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
We'll be right back. This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.